Hi, it's Kendall here. If you're new around here, welcome. Not new around here, what is up? Home Skillet Biscuit. And we are finally here to close off this chapter. I am tired of talking about Love is Blind. I've been doing it all month. That's the only thing I've talked about all month because there's just been so much to say this season. Today, we are wrapping up. I can't make that joke. They made it like 12 times during the actual reunion. Love is Blind season 7 by talking about the reunion that came out just a mere few hours ago. I would first like to vocalize my complaint. My first complaint is that the reunion had the nerve to be posted at 9 p.m. Eastern. Who told you to do that? So now I gotta film day of, like it's the olden days, and I have to edit it. This is the ghetto. Honestly, whoever decision that was, very selfish. You should have been considering me specifically, and that some of us are trying to wrap up all the videos for October so I can go into November and then talk about horror movies for some reason. I really want to make a video on The Substance, and apparently now it's available for streaming. Watch it, and we'll discuss next week. I just want to close this chapter, and I'm going to talk about this reunion, talk about how it solved nothing. Absolutely nothing. We got nothing fixed. Nobody learned shit. We didn't really clarify shit. It was just yelling. Very few people come off any better. I think maybe Leo, but not really. But everybody else, whether they have changed their appearance or not, still have the same issues that they had when they were filming a year ago. So we're going to talk about that and then hopefully ignore Love is Blind entirely until they come back in like 4 months. But first, we're going to send it over to Admiral Kennie. So many people still, it's been years at this point. Admiral, not Admiral, ahoy. But I have had the thought, work with me, that I want merch to make fun of that, the Admiral Kennie thing. I think that would be very funny. I gotta figure something out. Anyway, but send it over to Admiral Kennie, ahoy. Are you tired of getting screwed over by people? Well, why don't you screw yourself with today's sponsor, Lelo. Lelo is my favorite toy brand, completely centered around enriching your experience with your own body, exploring your own body, finding out what you like, what you don't like. It's very meditative, very connective. It's a great way to spice things up with a partner or by yourself, relieve some stress, go to sleep. And most importantly, it's not dirty or gross or embarrassing. It's natural and a beautiful explorative experience. They stole my heart with the Enigma Wave. All right, that was the first thing I tried from Lelo, and it got me hooked, baby. Now they've come out with the Enigma Double Sonic. Hey, when you didn't think they could innovate more, baby, they always shock you. 100% waterproof, soft to the touch silicone that has the ability to stimulate both the G-spot and the ever elusive A-spot, resulting in a dual sensation that is particular. It's whoa, okay, like I'm just saying, it's really good. It's great. Also has 8 settings, an incredible battery life. I've never had one of these die on me in the midst of a session. Reliable and built to last, baby. They have an app where you can unlock 2 exclusive modes. So if you would like to try out Lelo, feel free to click on the link down below. Use code JD15 for 15% off your purchase. Big thanks again to Lelo for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on to the debauchery. So it's been a year since the end of the show. Everyone looks great. I feel like everyone looks just as they did before or slightly better. So good for them. Ramses has let them go. Let them free. I think people got new titties. A lot of people have lost weight. I hope that is because of intentionally or because, you know, that's what they wanted as opposed to the stress that it must be being a cast of Love is Blind. Hannah is one of the people that have lost weight. I think she did something to her teeth. Maybe she had Invisalign, but she looks very different. I could not recognize her. It made me retroactively go back through the season, and I think for a lot of that, she had maybe some Invisalign going on. She looks nice. She ain't learned shit. Still a terrible person, but okay. Nick and Vanessa come out. We definitely have writers this season as far as like what little quips and jokes they're gonna say.
Get off your ducks.
Then mug your exes.
And wake up your napping loved ones.
Because the wait is over.
They could have not. And in the time that's passed, it would seem that our 2 married couples are still very much so married. They seem happy. To remind you, if you didn't see my other episodes, then I don't know why you started on the reunion. Garrett and Taylor got married, and Ashley and Tyler got married. Tyler has a lot going on in his life. One of the first elephants in the room that we address is that got 3 kids that he just up and abandoned in one day. And it's very fascinating how they try to talk about this series of events. She going, my man, but your man left you with 3 kids you didn't know you were walking into until far too late. How he decides to talk about it. He helped a friend out who wanted to have kids, a couple, and the baby mama's wife left him for dead. They separated, left her high and dry, and so he decided to step in, I guess, as a father figure, even though he is the biological father of these kids. That's why he was in Christmas photos. That's why he was hanging out with them so much. You know, he was filling in the gap the ex-wife left, supposedly. Even though, again, she was not around for the last 2 kids. That's crazy, but okay. That still doesn't explain how he lied about where he was during the holidays. Still didn't make him not tell her in the pods when you knew you were going on a reality show. The excuse that him and Ashley have is that he wanted to keep the kids' privacy paramount, so he didn't want to talk about it on camera. So they decided to lie on camera as if she didn't know about it.
Never wanted to share on camera. I just didn't feel like it would be an authentic experience or that I could continue the experience if we didn't. I know me, I cannot hide my facial expression, so I think there would have been a disconnect.
Or to tell the truth on camera because she's a bad liar.
I said, do they know what you look like? And he's like,
I don't think so.
you could tell that
he was trying to lie.
So of course he divulged that information to
And
me.
so I was trying to lie for the cameras, but you guys
Yes.
had already had this conversation. See, that's the thing is we weren't there.
That doesn't explain why y'all on y'all own accord brought up where he spent Christmas the year prior that he lied to you about. That doesn't explain why he didn't tell you in the pods. It doesn't explain why you asked him on camera whether or not they knew what he looked like. Like, sure, you can say y'all co-conspired to lie about that. Did you co-conspire to ask a question that nobody asked you to ask? I feel like they were lying to us in that moment. And surely, if the concern was the privacy of these kids, the easiest way to quell... Stop, you're so cute. Mommy gotta work. Because again, they uploaded at 9 p.m. I love you. He's your good girl. He's your good girl. Hey, yeah, my good girl. Like, surely, if you wanted to keep your kids' privacy, you could just tell her, hey, I got 3 kids. And I guarantee you that would have caused less of a frenzy than whatever the this was. And then Ashley gets real hot and she's like, I feel like you're insulting my intelligence. I knew what I was getting into. Okay, then, bitch, you the one that gotta be with him. You look stupid, though. I don't know what... 2 things can be true. It is your life. And theoretically, you should know more about it than what we see edited and curated. I hope you're right. But yeah, don't worry, baby. I'm going to forget all about this shit as soon as this video is up. Speaking of which, they do bring a lot of people from like past seasons, as they seem to have been doing quite a bit in the last few seasons. Nothing really to update. I was looking at AD and Marshall sitting next to each other. Am I weird? Am I crazy? Because they were sitting real close. And she seemed real nervous to talk about whether or not she was in a relationship or not. I don't know. It just could be how I'm reading it. But maybe they're good friends or something. They're both single, so they say. Well, she says she's talking to somebody and gets real nervous about it. Okay. Nancy is in a relationship. She moved to New York. Good for her. Zach and Bliss have a baby and they got that happy weight on. They look happy. Same reason I hope stress isn't the reason why you lost weight. I hope stress isn't the reason why you gain weight. I hope nobody's stressed. And then a woman from season 1 that I do not remember who married a man that we do not know. So good for her. But she had a baby. Okay, so Marissa and Ramses. First of all, they both look sad. Good makeup and style for both of them. Both look sad. I don't think either of them are fully capable of really vocalizing their grievances. And I think because Marissa is still very hurt, or she's having to relive that pain, she finds herself like taking jabs at him throughout the night.
Why did she invite me over a month after the show to hang out?
Because we're all human. I was fucking that man. Like, we all do crazy shit.
But her mom is also there talking about how, basically what I would have said, I'm happy that he said something before we got married. The time to have doubts is before we get married. But I wish he would have told her instead of placating her and being a people pleaser when she would ask outright, do you have any doubts? And he's like, no, I'm good. Like, no, I don't have any doubts, knowing you have doubts.
I had to help pick her up. She was devastated. You didn't see that part. You got to walk away and cry like you were the one that was hurt.
All he says here is that the main thing was looking at the idea of our lives together. If I take account of the energies between us, I would find myself very overwhelmed. And that's fine. Again, like I said last time, you have every right to say you want to end a relationship. You can't be surprised when people are very, very upset when you've misled them to believe that everything was chill. Ramses then goes into clarifying some stuff around the contraception conversation, which again seemed to have very much so triggered a lot of people, because there is such thing as people that be like, why? Oh my God, but it doesn't feel good, babe. Again, I didn't really get that vibe from it. I got the vibe of like, hey, we are two people that are trying to be together forever. We got to figure out something that works for us, for both of us. He says that they talked a lot about, it being a more nuanced conversation. It wasn't an ultimatum. It wasn't him sitting there like, well, ma. It was just like, let's try to figure out the best way for both of us to have pleasurable sex. Again, we're trying to be with each other forever. So we want pleasurable sex that allows her to be happy and healthy and with as few side effects as possible, and for them to not have children before they're ready. That was more of a let's collaborate and figure things out so that we can take care of all those things. And they figured it out off camera and figured out what works for them. That wasn't my issue. My issue was that y'all were already. Why haven't you had this conversation before you start and then surprise Pikachu if y'all ended up having a baby? I still think he was full of shit. But I did expect for Marissa and Ramses to really delve into their issues more. We go to Nick and Hannah, and they address how Hannah's a bitch. Not my words, though I would have said them. Her own words. She's like, I'm a little too direct. I can be kind of a bitch. I could have said things better, but it's very much so in this very blasé, I'm just direct. I'm just who I am. It's something that I need to work on, but I'm just like direct. Is a strange way, again, to talk about her behavior, and does not seem to be indicative of any real reflection and change. She talks about how she's done a lot to work on herself internally and externally. I hope that means she's going to therapy. But if she had any insight, actually, she calls herself self-aware. If she had any insight on how she behaved, how her insecurities resulted in abusive behavior, or if she seemed to be at all remorseful. But she very much so was like, yeah, I'm just direct. I don't know what you want me to say. I'm sorry. I can be a bitch sometimes. And I'm like, okay, you didn't learn anything. Okay. Beyond that, it starts to dissolve into more of conversation of, well, Nick was bad too, because Hannah ends up bringing up that after they broken up, one of her friends, as they were cleaning his stuff out, her and her friends, they found his notebook, and it had like kind of his goals for the next 3 months, and one of them was to be the most famous person on Love is Blind. This is used to provide some context about how there was always this vibe that Nick was there for other intentions, and that on camera, he's just this golden boy, kind of dumb, but like golden retriever type boyfriend. And that's not who he really is. He was an opportunist. He was very flirtatious, as they talked about a lot. He seemed to be there for something other than getting married and finding love. And also, though on camera, he talked about how much he loved the way Hannah looked, behind the scenes, he was disparaging to her looks. He called her a 5 out of 10.
I hear that he's saying like stuff after the video, like calling me like a grenade and calling me ugly, and all these people are saying that he's saying all these things behind my back. But then when he gets on camera, he's like, Hannah's just so amazing and everything she does is so perfect. And it's like, no, it's not.
I don't know what that means. Is that slang for something? Why I'm old? I'm kind of old, so I might not know what the kids are saying these days. Because if I would have heard that, I would have thought like a bombshell, right? But apparently, oh my God, I'm so old. What does it mean? But this was like him talking badly about her, I guess. He keeps denying he was there for reasons other than just to find love. He wouldn't have gone that far if it wasn't to find love and if he didn't have real feelings for Hannah. And he denies pretty outright that he had said those disparaging things about her look. And though he's denying it, it's very funny because every they're like, nah, man, like, you gotta be honest. Yes, you said those things.
You talked to Steven about it, and Steven talked to me about it.
I didn't
You
talk
have to
to
be honest. You did. You said not nice things about the way Hannah looked.
Did that happen? Yeah.
They're not pulling that out of it. It's wild that you're trying to lie right now.
Like, let's keep it 100, man. Like, things were said. This is the moment to take accountability. Like, we're not perfect.
Yeah, I said I was underwhelmed when I saw Hannah at the reveal. I never said she was her grenade.
And somewhere around this time, Garrett is like, I think this is an incredibly stupid and immature conversation. I really wish we could get past this, please. And that's really where I was at. If the case is that he was hiding his true intentions, Nick still is, because he's refusing to be honest that he thought she was hit, I guess. I don't know. And she is refusing to actually reckon with, you were verbally abusive, emotionally abusive. So because a lot of her thing on this reunion is to clarify that her behavior wasn't just coming out of nowhere. You know, he had said some things about her looks. Apparently, I don't know when she found out this rating thing, and it made her feel really, really insecure. But my feelings still stand, because most verbal abuse comes from a place of insecurity, real or imagined. That doesn't make it okay. Break up with him. If you were with a guy who was going around telling everybody you hit, I think that's a reason enough. I mean, we didn't talk about that. You was talking about him taking out the garbage. You didn't talk about how he don't like you as a person and you behave as if you like me on camera. Those would be valid concerns. Also, we could have broke up a long time ago. Y'all got a really far way in with you thinking that he thought you was ugly. It was interesting to see, though, that in the course of this, Marissa was actually getting very hot towards Nick. I got the sense that they were close in the pods. It's hard to tell. But, you know, they seem to have been very, very close, along with Katie. Katie, my bestest friend in the whole wide world. But honestly, she seemed to have a lot more heat for him than Hannah really did. And it seemed like she used that as opportunities to do little digs at Ramses. Which, hey, the grieving and healing process is long. He looks so sad. I mean, that's just, when you hurt people, they might say some things about how you hurt them or whatever. Marissa, you know, is ganging up on the he's insincere thing. And then all of a sudden, Hannah brings up that he was telling girls that he would fly them out for the reunion, and they were DMing her about it. And I'm like, why did we even bring this up? Y'all aren't together. But yes, it was just a hot mess to fan the flames. They bring up the Katie conversation when he was talking with Katie. Hannah's best friend in the whole wide world that I met 3 weeks ago. And it talks about like how upset Katie was at the notion that Hannah was hurt by anything she had done in relation to Nick. Because again, they are the bestest friends in the whole wide world. They hang out so much. To know that it caused such a rift really hurt her, and wanted to clarify that she does actually trust me, because she was saying she didn't trust her during the fight. Then they bring out Leo and Brittany. They bring up money, because Leo always did. And I guess this is when he realized, wow, I actually brought up money a whole lot. And that's really embarrassing. I would hope that people would know me and know what I have to offer beyond the money I have, because it's such a small part of my actual existence. And then they dive into the conversation of how hard it was for him to choose between Hannah and Brittany. He decides to explain that via a food analogy.
You know, when you're at a restaurant and, you know, you're between, should I have the pasta or the steak? And the waiter comes to the table and he's like, is everybody ready to order? And everyone says yes. And he goes around the table and you're like, let me order last. The issue is the food has feelings.
Not great.
I was so wrapped up in my decision that I really wasn't realizing how it was impacting people. Hey, Hannah, I'm so sorry. You do not deserve that.
Brittany then clarifies some things about their reveal and about how painfully awkward it was. And she clarified that I know a lot of people were like concerned about how he was like touching me and like kissing me and all over me. Honestly, that was the only comforting time within that meeting, because the entire experience was so uncomfortable and you're just hyper aware of yourself and there's all these cameras. It was okay. I was leaning into him. He was a great person, and we dated for a few weeks after that, but we just realized on vacation some things just don't mesh. And sometimes it can be the little things that like he drinks off of your drink or little nitpicky things. But if it's enough to build up, then that kind of explains why they didn't go any further. They're still friends. They just recognize that there's nothing really there romantically, they both seem very happy. She's like in a new relationship or dating around and he's still single. Good luck to both of them. Steven. Another situation where I thought we would have some more clarity. It was just very strange though. So he went to a sleep apnea test, which is what I thought it was. And they bring up the night that he was caught cheating or attempting to cheat, flirting with somebody. He says that essentially what happened is it was a friend that he knew only online, only on Instagram. That's the only way they interacted. Their time had gone back quite a while. The other person randomly said that they've discovered they have new fetishes. Instead of just leaving it alone because he's an engaged man, he's like, well, what fetishes? And it kept going and going and going. He kind of talks about it as if like, no one wants to hear my side of the story. It doesn't like people just don't believe me. How much of the consequence of my actions should I really feel? Like, this is ridiculous. And nobody wants to hear my side of the story. And when he tells his side of a story, it's the story that we knew already. Like, what do you mean? Your side of the story. That you're beating yourself up about it? Yeah, we knew that too. He says that him and Monica had dinner a few weeks after to clarify some things. He had also written her family a letter of apology, which makes her very frustrated because now that he's talking about this here, she gets the sense that he wrote it simply so he could bring it up at the reunion to make him look better. I wouldn't be surprised in any direction. Honestly, you look terrible regardless. I get the sense that, again, he may have some issues with compulsions around sex, or maybe just not monogamous. And I think he would do a lot better by being honest about that and hurt fewer people if he just was like, I'm not monogamous. I like sex. I like sex with many people, and that's fine. No one, just do that. I don't know what the he went on Love is Blind, but he does allude to there being some issues with that, with sex. And I hope he continues to get, help for that. He's still not really looking at it as like how he hurts other people. It's very much so like him trying to rein himself in. Stop promising people stuff that you don't plan to maintain, like monogamy. Like that would save a lot of trouble. Alex and Tim. Apparently, I'm one of few people that don't have a big issue with Alex. I don't know what's going on. I feel crazy. Maybe it's because I didn't like Tim from the jump, and the things that people kind of complained about with Alex, the hand over the mouth thing, which was disrespectful, but not physically abusive. I think a lot of people are insinuating that she like decked him in the face, and it's like that's not what either of them said happened, and they clarify that here. Both of them were like, there was no physical abuse. It was a verbal altercation that was getting more and more intense though. That fight that we didn't see, essentially she was saying how she had a lot of stress on her right before going into the pods. Her father had gone into rehab, I assume for his multiple sclerosis, and she was missing her family. She hadn't talked to her family in weeks, and she was just feeling more and more pressure and depression and anxiety about that. So after all the get-togethers and all the drinking and the communication and all that, she's like, I'm overstimulated. I wanted to just take a shower and go to bed. Tim saw her feel negative emotions, and instead of just giving her space and letting her feel her feelings or whatnot, he seemed, as I understand it, to have went into fix mode, which is a very basic elementary thing to learn about your partners, which is like, what do you need from me? And if you say nothing, I'm gonna back off. If you say you need a hug, I'm gonna do it. Instead of trying to make a person feel better. That's not necessary. A lot of people have that problem. Sometimes I have that problem, and I need to be mindful of it. It's like, sometimes just sit there. Sometimes just sitting there is all you need to do, or ask what they need. But it seems to have somehow blown up. It was getting very heated to the extent that producers had to come in and calm him down. And they were really concerned about the camera seeing them arguing, especially him being a tall black man yelling. And that's understandable. So they were trying to like protect each other in that way. But apparently where he felt like most of the lines were crossed was when she called him out of his name. She called him a bitch, or a little ass bitch, which sure, not great. I don't think it's conducive for a happy functioning relationship, but I also understand. But there is something about what he says in regards to all of this that maybe it's just me looking for clarification that I was right. But if you recall, originally I had this vibe that he was a little bit of that, like, I'm an alpha male type energy, just a little bit. And he says something along the lines of, y'all ask men to take you seriously, but then you belittle me like that.
It was crazy how you belittled me the way that you did.
Y'all ask men to take you seriously, and why would you belittle me?
So
like
why?
Don't that sound like a podcast to you? Because it sounds like y'all women always want to be treated like humans, and then what? That's the vibe I got from it. Anyway, they go into the nap conversation, the nap. Again, I felt like I didn't understand reality because I felt like a lot of people took his side in regards to the nap thing. Y'all strict. Okay. Bitches can't rest their eyes. I just woke up from a 20-minute nap just now, right before I filmed this. I can't take a nap because your people came over. They don't want to take a nap. They've been driving for 10 hours. He said we had a lot going on, and I also work a lot. I had taken a night shift at a bar that night. So I had been talking to his mom and dad since like 11 a.m. until 6 or 7, I think she said. We had talked for 4 or 5 hours straight. I only have like 2-3 hours before I have to start my night shift, which is 9 to 3. I just wanted to take a quick nap. I just needed a quick nap. And that's all it was. I took an hour nap before I had to go my night shift. And I was also a little frustrated at the meeting with his mom because the day before that, he had met my dad. And that night I was telling him how important it was to me, how great of an impression he made for my dad, and how important that was to me, and important that you read what you read to me. And I asked him whether, like, how he was feeling about everything. And then he said he had doubts. You have doubts? 3 hours ago, you were in my dad's face talking about how you're going to be the greatest son and blah, blah, blah. He crying and shit. What do you mean? What do you mean you have doubts? And then the next day I have to meet your parents. And apparently I can't take a nap. And I completely understand what she mad about, because I'd be mad about that too. Why are you playing in my daddy face? You not 100% with me, and you knew that meeting my father is like a big step for me. Why the are you playing in his face? We don't need to bring him into this. He don't need to meet you yet. He don't need to meet you yet if you got doubts and you know he got doubts. And she says what I said, which was, it wasn't about no damn nap. It wasn't about some dishes. It was because you already wanted to leave. You already had doubts and you were just nitpicking for something so that could be your out.
The hate that you projected onto me on that breakup was mind-blowing. It's like I killed your dog. It felt like this was a situation for you to have out, and you took it and ran with it.
But he don't feel that way. He feel like he was disrespected, and like, you don't text me until like 10 a.m. And then you take a nap on my parents as if you didn't hear anything that she just said. That's weird. He's a weird guy. I understand it's important to you. How was anything she did disrespectful to your parents? If resting your eyes is disrespectful, then I'm a heathen. I'm a slut. Debaucherous bitch, because I love me a nap. I love to rest my eyes. I love a little ZZs. But yeah, the dude sucks. And like the entire time that she's explaining how she feels and why she feels it, he's just going, And he got that old annoying. He reminds me of some of my uncles, honestly. And they don't get anywhere by the end of this, because again, this entire thing was not conducive to learning or bettering anyone in any way. And the episode ends again with pleasantries of sorts, catching up with people from the other seasons, more people from the other seasons, bringing out people's babies, talking a bit about Garrett's glow up and how he's always had a thing for fashion, a passion for fashion. Brett's Forever Diamonds. And then they show pictures of Tyler and Ashley's Christmas, notably without the kids. I guess, they just wanted to visit her family or something, but if he got kids, they probably want to meet their new step-grandma. Anyway, they also introduce a few people that will be on the next season, and that's essentially the whole thing. No one learned a damn thing. No one took any accountability except maybe Ramses and Leo to some degree. But yeah. So unsatisfying, but at least it wasn't a whole lot of crying, which can get overwhelming. The only person that cried was Marissa. Yeah, that's it. That's the season. Sitting down Love is Blind until I make poor decisions again by watching Love is Blind again. Also want to know how you felt about this season of Love is Blind now that we're closing this chapter. I do feel like we've jumped the shark a bit. It's feeling more and more influencery. It's getting progressively less and less about finding love and more about television. It's inevitable, I think, to some degree. It's more about the spectacle. I do want to see more people actually fall in love. Like, Brett and what's her name? The real nice one. I can't think of her name right now. The biracial one from season 1. Even Bliss and Zach seem really, really happy. So like, I want to see more of that. I mean, I guess that's harder to find love than mess. But yeah, tell me what you thought. Any tea that I've missed, because I know people have been going around doing interviews and whatnot. So put those down in the comment section as well. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.